Okay, IOBA, my name is TC. This is the Awareness Channel. Good morning, happy Friday. Happy Friday. So, remember this. I will vote for Donald Trump. Everybody, I will vote. Remember that little fucking song? Little fucked up ass song them Cubans were singing? Remember that? I wonder how they singing now. A little late for that shit now, though, isn't it? Goddamn mass deportation train is already started, already underway. But check it out, though. Here's the thing. Donald Trump has already started to tackle a little bit on that whole immigration thing. I mean, all of them old MAGA mouth motherfuckers, they're all mad at him because he is starting to tackle a little bit on his immigration policy. He said something the other day about offering amnesty to a bunch of illegals. And rightfully so. Because when you think about it, almost all of the policies these people coming up with, the mass deportation, the tariffs, all that stuff ain't doing nothing but tearing the country up, ruining the same economy that they talked about they were so good at. I mean, ruining the very same economy that they supposedly got elected on. The world is so, the United States anyway, is so intertwined with cheap labor and cheap goods until it's almost impossible to do these things that the Republicans and the MAGA mouth motherfuckers are talking about. Look, you ever go in a hotel and find somebody, a worker, other than the people at the front desk, and sometimes even them, who did not speak with an accent? It's very difficult, very rare. You need that labor force. You need that. The United States runs on cheap labor and cheap goods. You ever go to a construction site and see how fast them boys could put a roof on a house? It's like ballet watching them boys work. Now, or go to a field, say where they picking cabbages or where they doing, they harvesting produce, and watch some folk work out there all day. Ain't nobody trying to get out there and do that shit for $11 an hour for 12 hours a day. No one. Nobody, no sane American gonna do it because we used to do it. And we, by we, I mean us black people, we used to do that shit all day. But industry started opening up, and we started going up north and taking high-paying jobs in the auto industry and in manufacturing and stuff like that, leaving all of that work down south. So them farmers and whatnot had to find a cheap labor force. So where did they go? They went to the Caribbean. They went with Mexicans. They went with whomever else they could find to bring in that they could pay as little as possible with no benefits, that would do that work for 10, 12 hours a day and not complain. And now you're talking about deporting all of those people? Ain't gonna happen. You talking about deporting all of the people that work in the hotels? Ain't gonna happen. You talking about all the people that work in the meat packing plants? Nope. Not unless, of course, you want to pay union scale to hotel workers, or you want to pay union scale to harvesters and migrant field hands and people to harvest sugar cane and all of that stuff. You want to pay union scale for all that? Go ahead and watch this economy tank. You think it's bad now with your tariffs? You really gonna pay $30 for a motherfucking hamburger if you do some shit like that. Get rid of all the cheap labor, I mean. So Donald Trump, in true taco fashion, is talking about offering amnesty to a lot of those workers. And it's funny because they just gave ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, $170 billion. What you think they're going to do with all this money over the next, 5 or 10 years? They're going to have a bunch of empty-ass detention centers because they pretty much all the so-called criminals, they already took them. Now they're just plucking people off the street all willy-nilly. But they are taking all of the working people because that's all that's left. You know what I mean? So Donald Trump got to slow him down. But he's already allocated this money. And Tom Homan, y'all know who Tom Homan is? He's the immigration czar. He that bald-haired white dude look like some sort of mutant Frankenstein. He always talk like he got a mouth full of shit. If you listen to Tom Homan talk, he talk like he got a mouth full of fucking half-chewed bread dough. And then you got the little mutant alien-looking motherfucker, Stephen Miller. They're talking in Donald Trump's ear, telling him all kind of shit about, how bad the aliens are and how bad they got to go. And Stephen Miller wants 3,000 people a day arrested and detained. And Tom Homan talking about, wait till we really get started on the wait till we really get going. Wait till we really start to picking people up. That's how he talk. Wait till we really start picking people up. Blah, 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 blah. Talk like I said, he talk all garbled. And Tom Homan want to just run up in to these big cities and round up all of these people with his ICE agents and throw them all into these cages. Well, that shit about to come to a halt because he gonna run up in the wrong city and he gonna run into a whole goddamn firestorm. A real one. It's gonna be that irresistible force running into that immovable object. And then we're gonna see what happens. But he is gonna have to chill all that out. And he gonna be mad at the motherfucker too when Donald Trump rein his ass in. Because right now he think he just got all the power in the world. Next to Donald Trump, of course. Tom Homan think he got all the power in the world. Stephen Miller think he can say anything and do anything and can't nobody do nothing to him. You know what I mean? But these two guys, and there's others, trust and believe, there's plenty others, are so racist until it makes them stupid. They're so racist until it makes them ignorant. And when you put ignorance and racism together, one usually destroys the other. You feel me? And that's what's going on in the minds of Tom Homan, Stephen Miller, and the whole Trump cabinet, basically. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, they're destroying the very economy that they got elected for being so good at running. They're destroying it with their own stupidity and racism. Because we black people, we ain't going back out in them fields. Not for no $11 an hour. We ain't going in the meat packing plant for $7.25 an hour. We're not going into going back into construction, not like that, because we are still in construction. But we ain't going into it the way the Mexicans and them Spanish guys do it. We can. We used to. We used to be able to put up a house and a roof and all of that shit just as fast, just as efficient. as anybody else. But we need to get paid. We need to get paid. And in order to avoid having to pay us, they want to pay people from other parts of the world, and they want to pay them as little as possible. So Donald Trump, having come to grips with that, has to put an amnesty on all this mass immigration bullshit that he got going on. And he has to grant amnesty to the individuals that he has launched this immigration war on, put it that way. You see what I'm saying? And the MAGAs, they mad because they want a white ethno-state where they're in charge of everything, and anybody who isn't white should be cleaning or sweeping or mopping. Nothing other than that. That's what they want. And apparently they're not going to be able to get that. Apparently they ain't going to be able to get that. You got this guy. He got a Spanish last name, Nick Fuentes. You got him. He mad the motherfucker. But I'm going to tell you something. I have had little ignorant white boys up in my face that talk just like him, Nick Fuentes. I've had little ignorant white boys up in my face talking that shit. All you got to do is bark at them and they run like the bitches they are. But that's some raw racism he exhibiting right there. And with a last name like Fuentes, you wouldn't think he'd think that way. But he does. You know what I mean? He does. But wait till some motherfucker named John Grimkowski or somebody, some real white dude, roll up on him and let him know he ain't all the way white just because of his last name. Wait till they do they purge, and then they start narrowing it down to him. And you ain't got a European sounding last name. You ain't really European, are you? Wait till they start focusing on that. But I digress from that point. The point is, the MAGAs is pissed off because Donald Trump, realizing that the hotel industry and the agriculture industry and the construction industry and the meat packing and industry are all some really powerful lobbies. And the goddamn midterms are coming up. And a whole bunch of Congress people getting ready to possibly lose their seat. And a whole bunch of senators too. I think there's some Senate races too are about to lose their seats because what they say, cruelty was the point. They got to make it look as nasty as possible to discourage illegal immigration. Cruelty was the point. But now, you cool motherfuckers is about to have to go find some real work to do because you're about to get voted out of office. So in order to hopefully head off this blue wave, Donald Trump talking about amnesty for illegals so that these businesses and industries don't suffer. And a lot of Congress people will be able to hold on to their seat. But I think it's too little too late. I think that the blue wave is going to come. I think the pendulum is going to swing back the other way. Donald Trump will still be in the White House. And things ain't going to seem that better on the surface. But shit will slow down to where it's manageable. You feel me? Because he's already put in place his big bodacious bullshit bill. And a lot of laws that are really bad for the people are on the books. But after the midterm elections come around, hopefully we'll be able to reverse some of this shit. And behind the scenes, let me tell y'all something. Behind the scenes, and it's not getting as much airplay as it should. A lot of them people that Elon Musk and Donald Trump fired and whatnot, a lot of them getting called back. So there's a taco going on there too. A lot of them getting called back because those agencies can't function with them big cuts being made to them. Elon Musk, as y'all probably know by now, him and Donald Trump are back at war with each other. But a lot of the shit that Elon Musk has done is being undone quietly. So the whole thing coming apart anyway. And they're making a big show out of these ICE arrests in order to kind of quietly keep everybody distracted while they try to rebuild these agencies on the low. That's what I think is happening. And when the shitstorm really hits with the immigration policies, when he roll up into Chicago or roll up into New York again, and the people start saying, fuck it, we ain't got nothing to lose, and we ain't afraid to die, and the big motherfucking battle happens, and it's all over the street and all over the internet and all over the TV, that's when you're going to see that shit come back around and some normalcy return to this country. The damage has already been done around the world. Ain't nobody coming back to the United States to spend no money or visit or anything until after Donald Trump is going out of office, and maybe not even after that. But it's going to be up to the people and up to the businesses, because at the end of the day, that's who runs this place. The businesses and the people, and the businesses are run by people, so the businesses and the corporations are the only ones going to be able to rein Donald Trump and his administration in and get them motherfuckers to acting like they got some sense. Because like I said, being racist and being stupid at the same time leads to nothing but self-destruction. I always say, assholes, people who are assholes by nature, racist people, power-hungry motherfuckers, people who have no empathy, them people, they usually always self-destruct. And this ain't going to be no exception. And with that, I'm going to close. And thanks for coming by and listening to me talk my shit. And I will catch you on the next one. TC, and I'm out. Peace.